Wayne Bennett was asked about it post-match, and he basically said anyone who has ever seen rugby league knows that that is not a hip drop tackle. And what was he supposed to do? This is it here. He said, what was he supposed to do? Just touch him and let him go on and score. Where do we sit with this?
I couldn't believe it. And you watch the face of the players. They're dumbfounded. It's just, unfortunately, there's going to be accidents because the game is played at high speed and there's massive collisions. That's just desperation. It's not a hip drop.
Brilliant tackle.
Great tackle.
It's a brilliant tackle.
Great tackle.
Not only made the tackle, he got dislodged the ball.
Look at their reaction. They just can't believe it.
But the problem is there's a still shot there that makes it look like a hip drop. There's a still shot.
Yeah, but you look at still shot of a lot of tackles, it'll tell us.
100%.
Just let it, show it in real time. Don't go to super slow motion or stills. Just show it in real time and understand the desperation at the time.
That's what I'm saying. There's going to be a picture that makes it look like a hip drop, so they feel like at the time they need to give a penalty.
It's not a hip drop.
Excuse me for looking at my phone, but the charges have just come out and he has not copped anything.
No,
so he's got off.
There you go.
I don't think that was ever in danger.
Well, they scored just after that, I'm pretty sure.
I have a theory.
That was why it was a turning point.
That was a problem.
I've had a theory there should be an ex-coach in the bunker. And I've said it, someone like Brian Smith, I think would be really suited to that. Great educator. He understands defensive movements and obstructions, and he understands tackling techniques. I think we really need to have an ex-coach, someone like Brian Smith in there.
Huge turnaround for the Cowboys. They were 0-3, and now they're 3-3 in the last 3 weeks. So
They got some good young players.
yeah, that Purdue on
Isn't
the
he a
left-hand
good
side, speed, scored a couple of late tries to give him a bit of breathing space. It was a real close game. Obviously, Latrell Mitchell played in the 6 jersey again. Huge boot on him. Great kicking game.
And the soft hands.
His first 10 minutes was awesome. He was really involved. I think the game itself got, you got to start doing what a 5'8" does, and then I thought his last 10 minutes was excellent as well, but I thought the Cowboys were better.
Yeah,
Reece Robson.
Robson was great. That little kick out of dummy half.
Everyone underestimates his speed.
Yeah.
Boom. He goes flying through. He's lightning.
They're playing out of position at the moment as well. You say he's a half. But
They're 5'8".
Yeah.
For the Bunnies, I mean, Wayne Bennett said it after the match, but just too many errors. That just cruelled them. And that clearly hurt them, right? Like no Cody, no Jamie Humphries.
Yeah.
Ravalawa was out as well.
Yeah, in those big moments, they needed someone organising. Although Latrell's kicking game, he's got thunder in that boot. He kicks them so hard. But yeah, they just missed a game manager there at key times.
Do you see Latrell at all? I know you said just before, Billy, that he will go back to fullback, but in the coming years, do you see Latrell at all making the transition to 6 at any stage?
Latrell could make a transition to put any number on his back and be a great player. He's got that ability like Greg Inglis had. But at Latrell's best, I think his best position is fullback. When he's at his best. He's far from his best right now. He's just coming back from a hamstring injury. This is his second game, the third game. So he's going to get better whatever position he plays, but it's through the necessity of the team, what the team needs from him at the moment. And he's doing a great job no matter what number he puts on his back.
For the Cowboys, I mean, you mentioned the fact that it was a really slow start and they had lots of new combinations and defensively were struggling on the edges. But how good is it to see someone like Jason Taumalolo just back to his barnstorming best?
Charging. Makes such a difference when he's on. His late footwork, the way he surges into the line, takes 2 and 3 players. He's developed an offload in his game. Last year, it was taught that he may have been on the scrap heap. He's had that sort of chronic knee injury, but he's back to his best. He's a machine. Look at this. Just rolls forward.
Yeah,
Was he a nightmare to tackle, Bill?
I tried not to let it get to me. Tried to get everyone else to do their job before he got to me. But I just think the Cowboys have done a good job over the last month of bringing their young guys on and helping develop their young guys. We spoke about young Purdue. I think Robert Derby on the wing as well has been doing a fantastic job. Now, they're replacements from Valentine Holmes and Kyle Felt. So there's a lot of experience going out of the team and 2 young guys coming into those positions. So I think the coaching staff have done a really good job with bringing those 2 along and helping develop them.
The other thing they've done well too, they beat Canberra, who have been really spirited this year. They beat Penrith, and then they beat South, who have also been winning games as well. So they're playing teams that are actually, playing with plenty of spirit and a couple of really big wins. Like 3 weeks ago, we had them sitting last, so they've done a great job to turn it around.
For the Rabbitohs, they have a chance now to turn things around for them on Good Friday. Can't wait for this one, up against the Bulldogs, the high-flying Bulldogs on top of the ladder at the moment. Campbell Graham should also be back for the Bunnies as well, so you can catch this one live and free on 9 from 3 p.m.
You think about the Bulldogs, they've had a week off when not only 8 teams have travelled, 11 teams, and they've travelled like 7,000 k's, a lot of these teams. So in a week where there's been a lot of travel, they've sat at home, been on the lattes.
They're playing half decent too.
They're going good.
Oh, that'll be a good
They'll
game.
be hard to beat.
Cannot wait for that one. Of course, the other match over in Perth was the Sharkies and the Seagulls. 24-18, the Sharks got the job done, so they are now back in the winner's circle. And we gave Will Kennedy a rap earlier, but whether it was Kennedy or Braden Trindle setting up a couple, they were good to watch.
Trindle, that kick.
This little
pass,
combo.
that's the second try with Stone Street.
Well, he turned the game. There was no tries in the opening 30 minutes, and then Trindle went to work with a beautiful pass and then a beautiful kick, and all of a sudden they're 2 tries ahead. So that gave the Sharks the buffer. Manly just can't find their best football when Tom Trbojevic isn't in the team. It's been a concern for nearly a decade now, and they just can't find their best football without their star number 1.
There's a lot to lose.
Yeah.
For the Sharkies, do you think, I mean, there's been over the last few weeks chat about Trindle and Nico, but do you think, I mean, unfortunately Trindle also then helped set up a couple of Manly tries, but do you think they're starting to build a solid combination, Bill, Nico and Braden Trindle together and complementing each other well?
Absolutely. I think the first thing they got right is they were heavily involved. They got the ball a lot. Nico Hines had 14 carries, ran for over 100 metres, so, you know, he had his attacking game on, and Trindle was the spark. He was the spark with the footy in hand. He set up that nice try with a pass and beautiful kick on him, and but at the end of the day, they got the footy in their hands, and the more those two get the footy in their hands, the better the Sharks look.
Well, the hooker did more as well, Braden Rayleigh. He ran more. A couple of tries came off him, so I think when your hooker actually takes more attention, that then releases your halves and gives them less players that are looking at them. So I thought he did that. We've sort of spoke about this for a long time.
Well, last year when
Run more
Nico
when
was
he's
out
fast.
and they had Atkinson at halfback, and I think even Trindle was out, they went down to Melbourne, beat Storm. Brayley was running constantly and just troubled him around the middle. He's just got to run more. When he runs, he looks a different player, and the team looks different.
I think that's why they kept him over his brother, because his brother's like tough and a great defender, and you know. But Braden was the one that had the speed. Blake, mate, what am I calling you? I don't even know your name. We're going to go back
Trindle.
to.
You're thinking Braden Trindle.
Yes.
Freddie's been earthing.
That's why they kept him. They kept him because he had the speed. Yeah.
You want your music? You just need music on all of your vision now.
Collabs. I need to collab with you.
You're not even on social media. Don't talk about something you know nothing about.
There's a real chance for the Sharks over the next month. They've got the Knights, the Tigers and the Eels over the next 3 weeks. So the Sharks can, you know, there's a chance to go on a run if they've done a lot of travel over the first 6 weeks. They've been to Vegas, Townsville and over to Perth now. So if they can get back and get on a bit of a run over the next 3 weeks, they can settle their season.
So 2 great games over there in Perth. There was a bit of a funding spat with the WA government and the NRL, but it looks like we could be back on track and we could be getting the team over there. Do you think that's what we need, Joey?
No, I think the next team should be the south of New Zealand, in Christchurch. Yeah, there's a bit of silly buggers going on. There was no AFL game yesterday in
because they had Gather Round in Adelaide.
So the crowd was 31,000. I know on television it didn't look the crash hot. Is that a 60,000 capacity?
Yeah.
The Bird's Nest over there. I think there's a bit of political football going on here at the moment where you know, Peter V'landys is holding out to get more money off the government. Who knows? But for mine, I think the next club should be the South Island out of Christchurch.
Well, I think there's going to be a few, and I think on the surface this looks attractive. It's got the different time zone. There's a different market, and every time I've been over there, there's been a real passion for rugby league. Like to get 30,000 fans, that'll be the second highest attendance over the weekend. You know, the Broncos put 40,000 in Suncorp, but That's the second highest attendance. So, you know, there's a real market over there, and I think, you know, they'll work it out. But I'd be surprised if there wasn't a Perth team in the next few years if we're putting 3 or 4 teams in.
Really just showed that the Raiders can find different ways to win. They won a really tight one against the Sharks a couple of weeks ago, showed they can put their foot down, and really they've just got different gears. Ricky Stewart's men, don't they?
Well, they've got an even contribution through their team. All 17 contribute to their victory, and they put 50 points on this game. They've got 2 big front rowers that lay the platform. I thought, you know, the big red fella, Corey Horsburgh, he was great. And then it's an even contribution. They don't rely on any one star.
For them,
I thought Ethan Strange had his... It's like someone took the lid off the jar and he popped out. He was like everywhere. Boom!
Yeah.
That's the best he's played by far, and I think he's just adapting. Jamal takes such a responsibility.
But also they play a style of footy which brings Ethan into play. They offload the ball. They've got players who can offload. Teams defend so well. They've been defending they defend the same shapes all the time. This bloke is in the sweet spot of his career, Hudson Young.
Playing well, isn't he?
He's flying.
He didn't even think
but
of
I love
passing,
watching him. I love watching them play. They offload the ball, play to their strengths.
But you think about how they won the game last week on that last-minute try, throwing the ball from the left all the way to the right, kick it, get it back, flick it around the corner. That's all of these tries. That's their style. You know, it wasn't anything different. For everyone else, it's out of the ordinary, but it's not for Canberra. They do it their way.
it's exciting to watch, isn't it? It's very like West Tigers 2005, isn't
it?
Just
style of play. Yeah. And everyone plays the same ways. And everyone defends the same plays at training. So when you think about it, anyone who plays a different style of play, it's very hard to defend.
What about this
Because
pass?
they're so ad-lib.
Very tough.
This bloke's freakish.
Beauty.
Offload the ball. Get 2 and 3 in the tackle, offload the ball.
He's a good player, Matty Nicholson. Only debuted for the Raiders this year, coming from the English Super League. But yeah, look at it. It's all very similar.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Here they are. They're all powerful runners. If you don't commit to the tackle, they're running through you.
Yeah.
You just saw Hudson Young when he took on the fullback straight through. You saw Timoko, he ran through 3 of them. They was putting their hands out at one stage, Parramatta. I think 3 of them touched him. So, you know, they're powerful.
Do you reckon they can win a comp the next 1 or 2 years? I think they can for sure. If you get them in a big game and it sticks for them, they get points back to back to back.
Front rows are important. They've got some great front rows. You talk about Horsburgh. Yep. He's in a really nice spot at the moment.
Well, he's fit.
And then Papali, you got someone who's very experienced, and Tapane, who's a gun. Yeah. Good front row, good middle.
They got the balance. They got the balance all over the park. Dangerous team.
What about for the Eels then? I mean, incredible performance from the Raiders, but for the Eels, I mean, 45 missed tackles, 16 errors. It's been a tough start, and we know that for Eels fans, they do have to be patient, and it is a rebuild for Jason Riles and his men. But where to now? I know Mitchell Moses is coming back in a couple of weeks, but does Mitchell Moses really make the difference of 40 or 50 points?
He doesn't, not 40 or 50, but a fair bit with his kicking game. He'll rescue the poor sets. It's just young players not used to the speed of the game, not used to the pressure mentally, and they make silly errors. Making silly errors under fatigue. It's just, it takes a while for young players to get used to week in and week out. We see it with Penrith, some of their young players. At the moment, they just can't do it week in, week out over 80 minutes.
Tell you where they won't be going is back to Darwin.
Yeah.
They've been belted a couple of times there.
Yeah.
I think Cowboys beat them by 50 once up there as well.
That's their home
Did
game.
the Broncos. Yeah, I think that's the end of...
Sponsored off NT.
That was the end of it. That was the last year, so not sure they'll be going back there again.
It's tough for the Eels, isn't it? I mean, so many young players, a new coach. It's
the West.
Poor Eels fans.
The West.
Anyway.
Something in the water at the moment out west.
I don't know. I'll find a song for it.
We need to get a song for that.
I think at the moment, in and around the NRL, they have 8 or 10 players in NRL or New South Wales Cup. Just goes to show volunteers down there, junior footy. This young bloke, he's a tearaway.
They all seem to love their footy. That's the one thing they have in common. You look at Tyron Wishart, he just looks like he loves his footy every single game.
Well, Dylan Egan, he's keeping Luciano Leilua on the bench at the moment to start the game, and then he comes on, adds a point of difference. They just
working
look like
a treat, actually, though, isn't it?
It is. They look like they're enjoying their football, the Dragons.
What did you like about? I mean, wherever you looked, it was great to watch. Val Holmes, as we saw before, Christian Tuipulotu. I mean, they were just good to watch. It was entertaining footy, wasn't it? Especially that period just before half time where they just put the foot down.
I was really happy for Lachlan Ilias.
Yeah.
I thought he played a really strong game. They got a great style of play with a lot of ball movement, the Dragons, and they're such a big team. They are big and powerful out wide. That movement there was just unbelievable for Val Holmes. He is such a talented player.
Their passing was excellent. It was like a training session passing where you got your
Try off for kick-off, Freddie.
Another one.
Another one.
2 in 1 year.
Yep. I
Last
thought
time
you'd
we saw it
like
was
that.
1960.
I thought you'd like that one. One shining light for the Titans was David Fifita, and there was no other shining lights at all.
Well, the other shining light, when you talk about Dave Fifita, was Lachlan Ilias had to tackle him.
Yeah.
I don't know, I saw him 5 or 6 times, like just just trying to take him, had his head in there, did a great job.
Well, it just goes to show, when teams are going bad, the coach gets judged. We know Des Hasler, what a great coach he is. He's had success everywhere he's gone.
Lockie, look at this.
Players have got to take responsibility.
That's a pass.
There's just no consistency. There's no consistency week to week. There's no consistency half to half, sometimes set to set. They've got to find that consistency. Because when they're on, they are such a dangerous team, but there's no consistency.
Do they look to bring Kieran Foran back in and
Well,
just
I don't know
to settle things?
Fossatori's bicep.
Yeah, so how long's he out for?
I thought it was mid-year.
Yeah,
they're
I
talking
think so.
about.
Okay, so he's got a bit to go.
A while still to go.
But then once again, they're trying players in all different positions. They're pretty much playing with 3 fullbacks, which
Yeah.
is the new buzzword in rugby league after what Melbourne do. But, down there you got Munster and you got a bloke Jerome Hughes and you got Pappenhausen, but you got a bloke called Craig Bellamy coaching them.
Yeah.
So
So what would you do then? Would
they got
AJ Brimson be your fullback?
I really don't know. They just got to stick to this plan and stick to it and have these combinations. Jaden Campbell at halfback, he's probably not a natural halfback, but he's doing a really good job in attack. The kicking game needs to improve. Once again, the word consistency. The consistency of the kicking game is just not there. But whatever Des is thinking, they just have to keep 7 and 6 and 1 the same.
Well, it's much like with the Knights last year, how they just kept chopping and changing with their
7
halves,
different
right? If you
combinations.
don't have the consistency, they might struggle.
It's impossible.
With
I'm
the
glad we haven't got a lisp.
kicking consistency, can you say that 5
No, I
times?
can't. I'm thinking I'm going to have to say this word soon, and I was getting nervous.
Speaking of consistency, though, I mean, Lockie Ilias, you had to do it. Please
Stop
don't.
earthing. What are
You
you
need
been
to do
earthing
some
on?
voice warm-ups before you come on and get the
Can't
tongue
get it
things
out.
going.
Lockie Ilias.
Lockie Ilias was down on confidence, bounced back,
Yeah.
but that was always going to take time to work as, I mean, it's a whole new spine, really, by the time you think of Gutho's new, Lockie Ilias and Kyle Flanagan, and then Cookie's new to the club as well. So as time goes on, where do you see the Dragons season and how many more levels do they have in them as they get more reps together? And
I think it's the unknown. I think if they have a really good run with the injury, I think they can be in and around the 8. Lockie Ilias, I was happy. I think there's a footballer in Lockie Ilias. I think he's very similar to like a Jamal Fogarty. He's that steady hand, strong defender, good kicking game. So once again, he's just got to have that consistency.
The other thing about Lockie is he's coming off a broken leg. He basically didn't play first grade last year.
Yeah.
So that's going to take a little bit of time to get his feel and connection back to the game and his game. So, it was good to see him play well.
Good to see him back. The Show Me the Money was back as well. Flano said he doesn't mind if it's back if they are winning, that's for sure. So maybe we'll see it next week as well when they take on Manly. This is our Thursday night game, live and free on 9 and 9. Now coverage is from 7:30. Hopefully the Dragons entertain just as they did. Here it is. We have to show it again. Show Me the Money. It got banned from Shane Flanagan,
Show Me
but
the Money's next one. That was the first
that's
try.
the first one. But he then does do Show Me the Money on this. He did it on the sideline
He
as
did it
well
on the
after
sideline.
Dylan Egan scored his first try. Are you happy if they're ahead and they're pumping the other team?
No,
Is it okay then?
I couldn't care less.
I just felt
There it
getting
is.
old. Early on, I didn't like it, but you know what? I saw the crowd reaction to it. I thought,
Yeah.
you know what? Maybe I'm just getting
I think
old.
he just signed a
You're getting
one-year
old.
contract extension too, didn't he?
Yeah.
He did, so he
Yeah.
does actually have the money now. Anyway, Joey, it's just so good to see him doing well. And, you know, he and the Quite family fairly well.
The nicest family. And Billy is the most humble, down-to-earth fella. How much he's been through, how much trauma he's probably been through with these injuries. But full credit to him, but full credit to the Roosters also by sticking by him. He's changed pretty much everything in his life. No alcohol. He's gone on pretty much radical sort of diets, all the fasting sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, he's had no luck. So fingers crossed, let's hope he just continues because he is a talent and a half. Absolute talent.
No one give him a chance in this game. Going up to Brisbane, up against the Broncos, who everyone's got a high opinion of.
It was like when they played Penrith.
Yeah.
I thought they'd get smashed.
What did you like most about the victory for the Roosters?
Well, I like the fact that all these kids, this whole team just about, has all come through the club as 18-year-olds. A lot's been said about the Roosters, how they go about getting their players, but just about every one of these kids has come through, been part of the club for a long time. And, you know, they lost a lot of players last year. They've got young blokes like Footy and Billy Smith, who they've had some faith with, and
Hugo Savala.
Yeah. And you know what?
Good kicking game.
Yeah.
So I've got to say, like, for all the scrutiny the Roosters get put under, just about every single 13 of these kids all came through systems prior to being 18 years old. So,
And they had to hang in there too. You know, they were behind on the scoreboard at certain stages of the match, and they had to hang in there and up against a big crowd up there at Suncorp. I thought it was a big win by the Roosters.
very emotional, wasn't it? You could tell.
Yeah.
It was
There's
emotional early.
A lot of questions about when they lost Jared and these sort of senior players. They've invested in these young players. White, the young front rower, Siwawong, Feketi, these young players.
Blake Steep.
They're going to get better and better and better.
One-
White is a gun.
They're a tipper's nightmare. Like, seriously. The two games where no one gives them a chance, they win them and
I know.
then struggle in the others.
This one in Penrith. Tough. But Hugo Savala had the second game in the NRL. This is his first start at halfback. We were there, his debut. I think you got him 70 or so tickets for he and his family. But,
not his family, for all the rats from down the beach. Anyway.
But what do you see his future?
Well,
like
he's
in
an
the
NRL
NRL,
player. He's an out-and-out NRL player. Once again, we don't know what's happened with Daly Cherry Evans. But looking at his game, I have no doubt that Trent Robinson said, defend strong, organise, support, and kick well. Mm-hmm. And then do it again next set. Just do it over and over and over. And I thought as the game went on, his game built. He started to run the ball. So there's good signs. He'll just keep building his game. But he did his job. His job was there to organise, kick and defend strong. He did that.
And after all of the players that they lost over the off-season, it was the topic, of course, and all of these young players being blooded. But there's one thing you can count on every single week is that James Tedesco is one of, if not the Roosters' best player. Like, I mean, if he's not right up there as their best, Billy, he's in the top three, right?
He's
like
he's
he's
literally
just,
their best every
like,
week.
you just
and every
know
season.
what you're going to get from James Tedesco, and he has given his heart and soul, and there's not much more he can do out there.
And that's what you get from your captain, and he's their standards. He upholds all their standards. Look, he went through an era of the Roosters where they were so successful through 2018, 2019 premiers, and now he's leading the way in a different generation of Rooster at the minute. So they're obviously going through rebuilds, and they need to enjoy these wins because they're not coming around as often as they were when they were in that glory period. But he is so consistent, James, and you don't have to look too far for an example if you want to follow someone at the Roosters.
The bloke who he passed the ball in that last clip, Connor Watson, he's sort of living up to expectations now. He's doing a really good job. Set up a try with Angus Crichton later, but just busy, showing his speed around the middle. Dangerous.
I saw a point of difference with the Broncos too. I saw Payne Haas get out a little bit wider. Had a nice little pass to his game, set up Reece Walsh to give a try assist to one of his wingers. So they're just using Payne Haas a little bit different now, getting him out a little bit wider.
For the Broncos, I think Cam Smith said after the game that he questioned their attitude and commitment and resilience. For a side that's tipped to be one of the premiership heavyweights, do you agree that...
Well, it wasn't just Cam Smith, it was actually their coach as well. Michael Maguire, in the post-match press conference, actually said the same thing. The opposition just had more hunger and more physicality than his team. So I'm sure that's what they would look at this week, and where did it go wrong and what do we need to fix?
I think Brisbane also, you've got to understand, a bit like Penrith, where everyone plays their best. And not only that, you're going up to Brisbane, you're playing on Suncorp. It's an awesome stadium,
Big
it's a
crowd.
huge crowd. So, you know, a lot of teams sort of go along and you don't have this sort of atmosphere, and all of a sudden you get up there, you know what to expect. So, you know, Brisbane have to be the best because the team they're playing are at their best.
Roosters got Penrith this week, is that right? Geez, that'll be a game and a half. Saturday night, 7:30, I think it is. Geez, that'll be a great game.
So they've played the Broncos and Penrith twice in the first 7 rounds.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting draw.
Let's pick that up. Bit of music to that.
Let's get, Joey, you've said to Billy, how do we get the hammer involved more? How do we get him involved more? And we
Got him
saw it.
involved.
Good to watch.
Well, the first try, they went to the left.
Yeah.
They got Herbie Farnworth in space. And then the hammer got involved. And that comes down to the coaching. They were attacking coming out of trouble. Look, around the halfway line. That's the key where you got to attack. They got Herbie ball, and then they got this freak the ball.
Well, that was only 3 minutes into the game, so that must have been a conscious decision to move the football in that area of the field. And he scored with 3 minutes into the game and then scored right at the death. He was heavily involved, the hammer. But they all played well. They're starting to get it right now. Izzy Katoa was again good. This guy was good off the bench.
Beatson like that.
That was Arthur Beatson like. They've got a footy team there, the Dolphins.
Look out. Look out.
So fast.
It's just not fair. It's not fair he runs that quick, how easy it is.
He's good.
I think they're a top 8 team. I
Yeah.
tipped them to make the top 8. I think they found their mojo and their style of play. If they can have a luck with injuries, I think they can challenge for the top 8.
The big question mark, of course, is over the Panthers now. I mean, after the first couple of losses, a few people were saying, can they win another premiership? Now people are saying, can they even make the 8? But in terms of premiership, Billy, your 2012 side had lost 5 in a row.
Yeah.
Is that correct? And then still went on to win the comp. But I think Lockie's 06 side did the same.
Yeah, and Freddie was talking about last week that they were 1-4 in 2002 when they won the comp. So, like, it's certainly there to still... It's not over just yet for the Panthers. I've been pretty upbeat about the Panthers over the last, 3 or 4 weeks, but this game certainly, there was some concerns. And there's concerns around how many inexperienced players are clumped together. That left-hand side of the field, they had 45 games between 3 players. It was Blaze, Talangi, Jenkins, and also McLean defending next to each other. That's where a lot of the decisions came where there were points for the Dolphins. So, yeah, look, there's a fair bit of work to be done at the Panthers. It's not just any one quick fix for them. They're not going to stop trying, and it's not certainly put a line through them yet, but there's certainly some concerns.
Joey, you said last week that Nathan needs to dumb things down a bit because his teammates are not on the same page.
Well, they don't see the game like
Did you see further evidence of that the other night, that Nathan is just a level above and his teammates just don't have the experience to be at that level?
Yeah, I saw that. And look, Blaze Talangi made some errors, but he's a player of the future. Once again, be patient. This is the next challenge for Nathan, playing with younger players, but also playing on the back foot. They've lost Fisher Harris, who's been a massive. He's a play one front rower. So Fisher Harris would go, then Leota would go on the back of him. Also missing Brian To'o. He gets the sets rolling forward. But Nathan's got to learn now to play on the back foot with no go forward and still get his team. The best ever at it was Wally Lewis, and he did it at origin level. So once again, this is the next challenge for Nathan.
Were there times in your career you had to do that, come back and dumb things down?
2005, we had a big transition, got some young players, and it took a while for it to sink in. But then once it did sink in, and then the younger players gradually got up to that level, then we started winning again. But it's the next challenge for Nathan. It's exciting for him.
In terms of the Dolphins, you mentioned you thought Jack Bostock could be a smoky for Origin. Do you agree with Joey there?
That's if Lomax is out.
Yeah.
I think there's a few in front of Jack at the moment, but he came up with a couple of nice tackles where he had some good reads and jammed in. He's a definite try scorer. He's good under the high ball, obviously. But I think at the moment there's still most likely a few in front of him.
Who do you reckon will be in front?
Well, Brian.
So Brian's one wing, and only the others.
Brian, Zach
Lomax is out.
Probably out.
They're talking about Daniel Tupou, Taruva. I don't know where he sits.
The Fox.
Carraz was talking about Carraz.
Jacob Carraz. Could you put
I think
Crichton on the wing?
Crichton.
Put Crichton on the wing?
I think this bloke, he's ready-made for
Now, watching a couple of those reads was good. You see so many times wingers come fly up past the ball. And we saw Dave Fafita score, set up a try. He just went like that. 2 defenders ran past him. He just flicked it behind him. So, that in itself says that he's a smart player and reads defence well, which is very important in those big games. They make or break you.
But if he is to get a possible Origin call-up, he'll probably need errors like this out of his game, this blunder we saw the other night. And it was great. It was great that he could have a laugh about it. Danica interviewed Jack and his father, actually, and his dad was giving it to him, saying, what was that? So it was good to see that they could have a laugh.
His dad played NRL too, played a couple of games for the Tigers.
So does his sister.
Back in the day. Yeah, that was a stinker.
He couldn't have done that if he tried.
The bloke who scored, Moses Leota, I tell you what, he doesn't get overwhelmed when he's near a try line. He scores a lot of tries. Ball was rolling around, just picked it up and scored. Pretty impressive for a big front row.
Do you think they'll make the 8, Penrith? I got serious doubt.
I don't think...
tough question.
If they make the 8 this year, it's a bonus.
Mitch Kenny's back.
But I think, mate, Blaze Talangi, Casey McLean...
Oh, yeah.
Even Jenkins, mate, they are players of the future. I think so. If they make it this year, but next year, 12 months with those blokes playing in first grade, learning some lessons, they'll still be around, don't worry. Won't take long.